Sound up, a single drum hit, stadium noise folding into a hush. You don't have to be told it was bad. You saw it. Fred Warner, one of the toughest, smartest, most dependable players in football, chasing down a run and then collapsing to his knees, clutching a lower leg that had bent the wrong way. Trainers rush, players call for help, an aircast appears, a cart takes him off. The scoreboard keeps ticking, but the room feels like it's stopped. That image will live in 49ers lore for a long time. Reuters, here's what we know right now. Warner suffered a dislocated and reportedly broken right ankle on an early play against the Buccaneers, was carted off with his leg in an air cast, and is expected to undergo surgery with the likelihood he will miss the rest of the season. The team confirmed the diagnosis and the severity. This is not a short-term absence. It's a structural, season-altering injury to the heart of the Niners' defense. Reuters, put that into organizational context. The 49ers aren't just losing a starter, they're losing a defensive leader who has anchored San Francisco's identity for 8 seasons. Warner is a 4-time first-team All-Pro, the tackling engine of the defense, and a sideline director who turns small adjustments into big plays. You replace production with tape and habit. You don't simply replace leadership. The ripple effect is enormous. Play calling changes, personnel packages shift, signaling responsibilities move to younger or less experienced voices. Every team says, next man up, but this one will have to get creative in a hurry. Yahoo Tetao. What happened in the game matters too. The 49ers fell 30-19 to the Buccaneers, a loss that is now overshadowed by the injury, but which also revealed cracks. San Francisco was already dealing with a roster stripped by injuries. Brock Purdy has been out, George Kittle has missed time, and Nick Bosa is already down for the season with an ACL tear. Warner's exit turned a tough matchup into a practical emergency. The defense struggled to sustain momentum after he left, and Tampa Bay marched to the win. The standings don't care about circumstances. They only care about wins and losses. Reuters now the immediate tactical questions. Who calls the middle of that defense? Warner was the guy who read formations and adjusted gaps in real time. Without him, the 49ers will likely move Tatum Bethune or another linebacker into the Mike role. But that change isn't plug and play. Coverage responsibilities shift, blitz timing changes, gap control becomes a team drill, not an individual art. Kyle Shanahan and defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans will have to simplify some things and trust substitutes to execute others. Expect more zone looks, easier run fits for conservative teammates, and schematic hedges meant to hide inexperience. NBCSportsBayArea.com. Let's talk durability and legacy for a second. Warner has been remarkably durable through his career until today. He has led the team in tackles every season and has been the kind of player who defines a defense's culture. Losing a player like that mid-season changes not only personnel, but also the psychological architecture of a locker room. Players rally around leaders. They get sloppy when leaders are absent. Shanahan will have to manage not just schemes, but morale, because a defense without belief is a defense that leaks points. Yahoo Tetao. What does this mean for San Francisco's title window? The team is 4-2 and still in the division hunt, but the cozy margin that allowed them to absorb injuries is narrowing. When your top pass rusher and your middle linebacker are both out, opposing offenses can take more calculated risks. Red zone pressure eases for opponents. The offense can try to compensate, but football is complementary. If your defense can't get off the field, the offense runs out of juice. The road to January now requires sharper game management, safer play calling, and probably more contributions from role players who previously played supporting roles. Reuters, what would I expect from the 49ers in the next 72 hours? 3 things. 1, medical confirmation and timeline. Surgery will happen quickly. The team will provide an update, and the rehabilitation timetable will become clearer. Fans will want optimism. Teams need realism. Reuters 2, defensive simplification. Ryans will shape packages that reduce mental load on backups, fewer exotic blitzes, more pattern match coverage, and tighter run fits. Expect schematic changes you might not notice on paper, but that change how defenders are coached pre-snap. SI3, roster adjustment. The 49ers will either shuffle internal depth or explore the market for a veteran who can stabilize the middle of the defense for a few months. That could be a short-term signings market move or a promotion from the practice squad. Whatever gives Shanahan trust that calls will be followed. Pro football rumors? What about Warner, personally? This is a brutal, painful chapter for a player at the top of his game. Dislocated and broken ankles are serious injuries. Recovery is long and disciplined. He'll need surgery, then months of rehab to regain strength, proprioception, and the explosion that makes him elite. But Warner is 29, a veteran with elite training resources. Not a guarantee, but a hopeful one. Long-term, players have returned from worse and still performed. The question is timing, not whether he can come back in future seasons. NFL.com, and now the hard, unavoidable fan question: who fills the gap? The 49ers have pieces, younger linebackers with potential and savvy role players who can rise, but replacing Warner's instincts, play recognition, and leadership on the fly is a tall order. Games will need to be managed differently. Fourth quarter strategies will likely prioritize minimizing defensive exposure. Remember, the championship identity is often built on depth. Can Shanahan manufacture that depth quickly enough? That's the real challenge. 49ers web zone, finally a narrow to-the-point forecast for the season. San Francisco remains a contender by pedigree, coaching, and roster design, but this injury turns a probable season into a must-manage season. Expect tighter margins in every game, a heavier emphasis on run control and clock management, and a defensive staff that will ask the offense for more margin than before. If the 49ers respond with clean, disciplined football and smart roster moves, they can survive. If the injuries compound and the staff can't adapt, this night will be remembered not just for loss, but for the moment the depth chart lost its keystone. Reuters, no sermon to end with, just a clear buy-in. This is a defining moment for a franchise that has built success on culture and coaching. How they respond in the next 3 weeks will tell whether they are assembled for a one-night hero or for the long championship road. Fred Warner's injury is the emergency. The response will determine whether it becomes a season-defining tragedy or a galvanizing test they pass together. Reuters, if you want a short video hook from this, 30 seconds, direct and raw, I'll write it next. Tight opener, 3 quick facts, 1 knockout line. Say the word and I'll send it. Fred Warner's injury is an immediate and profound blow, not just because he's an elite playmaker, but because he's the heartbeat and the on-field coach of a defense already stretched thin. Warner suffered a dislocated, broken right ankle Sunday and is expected to undergo surgery and miss the rest of the season. That reality flips the 49ers' defensive plan from manage around injuries to rebuild on the fly. Reuters, what happened on the field matters. Warner was rolled up on during a tackle sequence and had to be carted off, and Kyle Shanahan later confirmed the injury is a fractured, dislocated ankle that will require surgery. The team immediately lost not only a top tackler and coverage linebacker, but its principal leader, someone who keyed alignments, made calls, and hid schematic weaknesses with elite instincts. That kind of loss isn't easily replaced by one player. Reuters, who steps in right now? Rookie Tatum Bethune saw the bulk of snaps after Warner's exit and led the team in tackles in Warner's absence during the game. Shanahan indicated Bethune will get the first opportunity to replace Warner on the depth chart, and the staff will probably lean on multiple inside linebackers, including 2025 rookie Nick Martin, to share responsibilities while the defense adjusts. Expect heavier rotation packages, more linebacker by committee looks, and simplified assignments to reduce the chance of blown reads. ABC 7 San Francisco tactical and schematic fallout. Warner is unique. He can guard sideline to sideline, cover tight ends and running backs, and diagnose run-pass flow pre-snap. Without him, the 49ers will lose range and communication at the second level. Opponents will test them between the tackles and look to exploit matchups in short and intermediate areas. To mitigate that, San Francisco will likely 1. Shorten the defense with more nickel, dime, and sub packages when possible, 2. Simplify pass coverage reads for younger LBs, and 3. Lean on more defensive line pressure packages to create easier downhill tackling opportunities for less experienced linebackers. San Francisco Chronicle. The leadership vacuum is just as worrying. Warner is a six-time All-Pro and a captain who set cultural standards on and off the field. Losing that voice forces others to step up, whether it's a veteran on the roster or a coach taking a louder role. The 49ers defense already lost Nick Bosa for the season to an ACL tear earlier this year. Now with both Bosa and Warner out, San Francisco faces a season-long test of depth and identity. ESPN.com. What the front office can and should do. Short term, the staff will accelerate developmental reps for Bethune and Nick Martin and adjust game plans to hide inexperience. Medium term, expect the club to explore the market for veteran linebacker help, either by elevating someone already on the 53-man roster, signing a street free agent with proven instincts, or possibly kicking tires on in-division league trade options if a suitable veteran is available and affordable. The challenge: high-quality linebackers aren't plentiful in season, and cap roster math plus defensive scheme fit matters.